Let's do this. Here we go. Welcome to another episode of Checking In, a How Do You Peel podcast series. Today's episode, I am going to be focusing on the connection between what we eat, our diet, and our mental health. I am your host, Georgina Skinner, founder of How Do You Peel? Sorry. Let's get a little bit more serious, but maybe not. Today we're deep diving into the world of food, mental health, and some interesting research trials, one of which called the SMILES trial, created by Professor of Nutritional Psychiatry, Felice Jacka. Sorry if I said that wrong. But before we get started, just remember, if you're feeling down, you are not alone. I am currently at home for 3 weeks, sitting on my bum, healing from ACL surgery. So, if you want, I can be a friend of yours. I'm going to be making more podcast episodes. So, claps all around. All right. So let's talk about the SMILES trial, and also some other random studies that have been going through and around the world of dietary mental health at the moment. Something that they all have in common is that the Mediterranean style diet is used in all of these trials. And it can be used to treat the most severe cases of clinical depression, as quoted by this wonderful professor, Felice Jacka. I've done my research. It's not just olives and feta cheese anymore. It's a combination of the Australian food recommendations, so like diet recommendations, so you know how the UK they've got eat 5 veg and fruit a day. Well, it's like a mixture of that and the Mediterranean diet that they're using. This diet is so heavily studied that it's practically a bit of a celeb in the nutritional world, apparently. Anyways, it's all about plant foods, fibre, flavonoids, and also healthy fats from seafood. They also throw in some fermented foods and whole grains just to keep it interesting. The big diversity and variety in your gut is very good. Your gut will thank you for it. So speaking of the SMILES trial, you've got to go check out the podcast episode that I found this nutritional psychiatrist from. It's an podcast by Dr. Hazel Wallace called The Food Medic, and I have linked the podcast episode down below so that you can listen to it yourself and find out way more information than what I'm just brushing on the surface of. In a world where food meets mood, one trial will change the way you think about what's on your plate. There's way more. The degree to which people's diet improves, so the degree to which somebody themselves improves their diet, was directly linked to the improvement of their mental health symptoms, which I think is absolutely amazing. So freaking cool. So remember, when in doubt, reach for that hummus and a carrot stick instead of the bag of potato chips, you know? That's something I need to remember, is obviously moderation is key, and we don't want to say you cannot eat potato chips, you cannot eat crisps, you cannot eat anything deep fried. Like, that's not what we're saying. That's not what I'm saying anyway. But in general, our diet should be based around a more healthy, organic style, diverse diet. So the best thing that I think, well, maybe not the best thing, but a really good thing that I, from listening about this SMILES trial, where they tested the Mediterranean diet mixed with the Australian guidelines, food guidelines, on people's mental health, and what the outcome was that the diet was not like a bank-breaking diet. So a lot of people think that a junk food diet is way cheaper because it's more accessible and all this stuff, but it's actually cheaper than a junk food-based diet, because it's not just your mental health that's winning. You also are, because you're feeling healthier, you're fitter, you are then in turn going to the doctor less with less ailments, you're missing work less, so you're getting paid more and things like that, and generally just your lifestyle and the way that you're living improves, which I think is super great. It all makes sense to me, but it's actually implementing it that's the hard part for me and keeping to this specific kind of routine. Now, the professor, Felice Jacka, talks about how merging the Mediterranean diet with some good old Aussie health recommendations has been the key to the diet used in many of these trials. She has run these trials to see what the best diet is for our mental health, and the Australian recommendations increases the consumption of red meat slightly than just the Mediterranean diet alone. So it's not exactly okay, go have a Mediterranean diet and you'll be amazing. Obviously, also everybody's bodies are different, so they will react slightly differently to a specific diet. So not only that diet will help, if you want to tackle like mental health problems, it's also about reducing, as said before, the junk food adventures that we take on a Friday night to the Esso round the corner to get our fizzy drinks and our crisps and beef jerky and all these things that come in packaging. And I am talking about myself and my husband. We do this on a regular basis. But like trying to reduce that and have better meals that are going to keep us full for longer, snacks that will keep us full for longer, is so much better for our mental health. For my mental health specifically, my husband has an iron stomach, so if no matter what goes in there, he's fine by the seams of it. I don't know, he probably would benefit from a change in diet slightly, but he's not necessarily the target group. I am. But now the ultimate diet for mental health is just like, you gotta think, or at least I've got to think, gut friendly, more plants, legumes, beans, nuts, seeds, herbs, grains, and also remember that diversity is the spice of life. I never really thought about the fact that increasing plants included legumes, beans, nuts, and seeds and herbs. I wouldn't have thought that those were in the plant. Obviously they're in the plant kingdom when you think about it, but when somebody says increase the amount of plants you have, I'm thinking, oh, add beetroot in, oh, add some broccoli, oh, rather than also these other beans, legumes and nuts. I just never really thought about that. So I think I'm going to definitely start to increase that. Obviously, we've heard, or at least I have heard, having a rainbow on your plate is really good just in general for nutrition. But a lot of nuts and seeds and legumes are all the same colour. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you skip those bits out that are like brown and grey and whatever. They're still really good for you. Anyways, that was a bit of a tangent, but you win some, you lose some. Excuse me. Something to definitely not forget about is helpful fats. So Molly Molly. Mono and polyunsaturated fats are your brain's best friends. So polyunsaturated fats are things with omega-3s in them, like fish, soybeans, flaxseed oil, walnuts. And then monounsaturated fats are things like avocados, nuts, seeds, olives, olive oil. And the combination of those are basically the pièce de résistance with everything else. So saying goodbye to an unhealthy foods and anything with extras or mysterious processed stuff that you don't know what it says on the packaging, pretty much that's not going to be great for you. It's just a random man-made chemical to preserve something for longer. Have you ever heard of the gut-brain axis? This is your vagal nerve that goes between your gut and your brain. It's like the bat signal for your tummy. Your gut is constantly sending signals to your brain. Like, hey, there's a bit of lasagna in there. Well, I hate lasagna, but using that as an example, it's not just food that it's telling your brain about. It's telling your brain about medications, chemical, all sorts of other intel that might be in your gut. So 90% of the signals going through your vagal nerve go directly from your gut to your brain, and the other 10% are going from your brain to your gut. So that is a lot of information going from your gut to your brain. So no wonder if what we're putting in our body affects our mood so much. Now, on that note, is a little nugget of wisdom for you. Lifestyle medicine is the #1 step in the New Zealand College of Psychiatry clinical guidelines for treating mood disorders. When I read that, I thought, wow, that is amazing. Like, without it, other treatments have not that much chance of working, because if you haven't changed your lifestyle, then you're just kind of throwing other treatments at a problem, at the symptom, rather than going to the root cause. So just remember that nutritional psychiatry is the name of the game. That's what I'm trying to remember. That's what has been, obviously, it's been talked about so much, but setting those international guidelines, if that's set all around the world, then let's make lifestyle medicine the hero to the mental health world. So, like, correcting not correcting, we're not wrong, we're not doing things wrong, just changing how we approach our life, changing our routines, changing the way we eat, changing the way we move, changing all of these things that are quite small. Let's not forget that our bodies are not that complicated. They need good food, sleep, and movement. And we try and overcomplicate it by putting so many different things in there. But really, we just need to kind of keep it clean, keep it simple. And really, I just also want to mention getting out in green space. The nature is the key to your soul. Increase the oxygen going into your brain. Get out into blue space. Go swimming if you can. Maybe you can't go swimming in a lake or the sea. Go swimming in a swimming pool if you can. Being surrounded by these natural elements really helps our bodies. Do some yoga, do some meditation. It's like a recipe. I meant to say recipe. It's like a recipe for happiness, really. That's not true, because obviously we're not going to be happy all the time. Doing yoga isn't the answer to being happy. It's just it's not true. But it's the simple things that make a big difference. So it's that first step that is the hardest, and that's something I'm constantly going to be saying, constantly going to be trying to remind myself of. And yeah, that first step, just you can do it. Let's try together. or at least you can try and encourage me to stick to being healthy. Tommy reminded me I asked for a hot chocolate earlier. He said, oh babe, don't want to like tell you what to do. Like, we have two options. We have peppermint tea or hot chocolate. Obviously, you said to me you want to reduce the amount of extra additives going in your body. Hot chocolate has a ton of sugar in it. Do you want that? And he helped me like reframe it, and I was like, actually, peppermint tea, that's fantastic. I love it. It's great. So kind of supplementing those things that you would normally go for other things that you also enjoy. Don't try and put things in your diet. Like, if you don't like mushrooms, don't force yourself to eat mushrooms. That's just stupid, you know? If you like beetroot, go on the beetroot route. You don't have to go on the mushroom route. Okay, you get my drift. Anyways, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of diet and how it affects our mental health. I hope that I've brought a little bit of a smile to your face, and also remember, your plate is your palate, and the healthier diet you have, the healthier your mind can be. And so, until next time, keep it sweet, parakeet, and ciao for now, and let's help ourselves by checking in a little bit more often.